What if the very hands meant to save a life became the reason it was lost? Shockwaves erupted when revelations surfaced that Menglong could have survived. Yet a doctor's fateful decision ended everything. Was it negligence, betrayal, or something far darker hidden beneath hospital walls? Join Red Carpet Revealed as we uncover the horrifying secret and explore the truth, right now. The night Menglong was rushed into the emergency ward was supposed to be one of frantic hope. Fans had gathered outside the hospital gates, to the belief that the beloved star, known for his gentle smile and luminous performances, still had a fighting chance. Ambulances screamed through the night. Reporters camped on sidewalks, and the digital world erupted in real-time updates as everyone waited for news. In the heart of the chaos, within the sterile walls of the emergency department, a decision was made that would change everything. It was there, between beeping monitors and the hurried footsteps of nurses, that the horrifying secret unfolded. Despite clear indications that Menglong could have survived, the doctor in charge allegedly made a choice that ended his life. The shocking possibility that his death was not inevitable, but deliberately ensured sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, leaving fans and authorities reeling from grief and outrage. What if the tragedy wasn't a tragedy at all, but something far darker? What if the world's shining star was silenced, not by fate, but by betrayal? The timeline of that fateful night is one of haunting detail. Witnesses recalled the accident, the sirens, and the rush to save him. They remembered how the doors of the emergency room slammed shut, leaving loved ones and fans outside with nothing but anxious whispers. Hours felt like days as people waited for updates, eyes glued to screens that flashed with rumors. Nurses who later spoke on condition of anonymity said there was tension in the room unlike any other. Protocols seemed disrupted. Conversations were hushed, as if something was being hidden from even the staff themselves. Some whispered that the equipment was working fine and that Menglong had shown strong signs of response. Yet the atmosphere was heavy with foreboding. It was as though the outcome had been decided before the battle for his life had even truly begun. The doctor at the center of the storm became an immediate figure of suspicion. Normally faceless, one of many who save lives daily, this physician suddenly found their name whispered across forums and tabloids. Background checks revealed a career with shadows, prior disciplinary warnings, unexplained absences, and rumors of debts that had never been confirmed. Yet somehow, this doctor remained in charge on one of the most crucial nights in recent celebrity memory. Reports began to emerge that surveillance cameras in the hospital corridor had mysteriously malfunctioned, leaving no official record of who entered or left the emergency room during those critical minutes. Hospital statements insisted on technical errors, but the coincidence was too staggering to ignore. Could it be chance? Or was someone actively erasing the trail of truth? Fans outside never forgot the exact moment when the announcement was made. The curtain of silence lifted only to reveal devastation. Menglong was gone. The sobs that erupted at the gates of the hospital merged with cries of disbelief online. Hashtags like Justice for Menglong and Dr. Truth flooded platforms within hours. Shock turned to fury as fragments of testimony leaked into the public domain. A nurse reportedly overheard the doctor mutter, "It's done," moments before Menglong's heartbeat flatlined. Another staff member claimed orders had been given to halt a life-saving intervention, even though there were still chances left. The growing mountain of disturbing claims made one horrifying question unavoidable: was this death an accident? Or was it a calculated execution carried out under the guise of medical authority? The media frenzy that followed fed on every whisper. Tabloids ran with headlines declaring betrayal in the operating theater. International outlets framed it as the greatest medical scandal to hit the entertainment world. Debates raged on talk shows, pitting medical experts against conspiracy theorists. Some experts argued that without full access to the medical records, no judgment could be made, while others admitted that the inconsistencies in the timeline and the contradictions in the official hospital report were impossible to ignore. The report claimed Menglong's injuries were unsurvivable, but anonymous insiders insisted he had been stable enough to warrant optimism. Families, fans, and fellow actors demanded transparency, but the silence from hospital executives only deepened suspicions. Why would a facility entrusted with life-saving care hide behind vague press releases and unconvincing explanations? The human element of the scandal was no less devastating. For years, Menglong's manager had been his closest shield against the ruthless world of show business. Now, In the wake of the torture scandal that had already shaken the public, the death of Menglong himself under such questionable circumstances felt like an unbearable continuation of tragedy. Fans recalled his interviews about perseverance, words of encouragement to those struggling with despair, the unshakable optimism he carried in his career. To believe that he might have lived if not for a doctor's intervention felt like the cruelest betrayal. Grief mingled with anger as vigils were held across cities, fans lighting candles and demanding answers. At one gathering, a sign held high read, "He could have survived. Why didn't you let him?" That question echoed across continents. Investigators soon stepped in. The case was riddled with complications. The hospital was slow to cooperate, citing patient confidentiality and legal restrictions. When pressed, officials admitted that certain medical files were incomplete, raising alarm bells about tampering. Some documents bore timestamps that didn't align with the emergency timeline. Equipment logs suggested interventions were halted earlier than officially recorded. Forensic specialists hinted at evidence of deliberate manipulation, though they stopped short of making public accusations. The hospital, under siege, denied any wrongdoing. Denial seemed to inflame suspicions rather than calm them. The haunting phrase repeated by witnesses, "He had a chance to live," became the rallying cry for those demanding truth. The investigation was no longer only about what happened medically but also about who stood to gain from Menglong's death. Whispers of hidden motives began to swirl. In the entertainment industry, Menglong's presence was not just artistic but financial. He was tied to contracts worth millions, endorsements that stretched across Asia, and projects that could shape entire markets. Continued survival meant ongoing obligations, ongoing power struggles, and ongoing battles between agencies. His sudden death, by contrast, created a void ready to be filled and contracts ready to be renegotiated. Could someone have wanted him gone? The idea seemed unthinkable to fans who adored him. Yet the cold reality of business and power made the theory chillingly plausible. Every path led back to the doctor who held Menglong's life in their hands. Were they a pawn in a larger game, forced into ensuring death rather than life? Or were they an opportunist with personal motives, acting alone in the shadows of chaos? The story grew darker with each revelation. Rumors spread of a large sum of money deposited into the doctor's account days before the incident. Anonymous posts claimed phone records revealed unusual calls from powerful industry figures minutes before the fatal decision. Lawyers representing Menglong's family began to speak openly about the possibility of criminal negligence or even intentional harm. Courts buzzed with anticipation of hearings. Protesters outside chanted for accountability. The haunting possibility of murder disguised as medicine became a narrative that could not be dismissed. Even those skeptical of conspiracy theories admitted the weight of evidence was too heavy to ignore. The death of Menglong was no longer just a tragedy, it was being investigated as a potential crime. In the midst of this storm, the red carpet revealed took it upon itself to piece together the fragments of truth. Journalists sifted through testimonies, tracked down witnesses, and unearthed documents that painted a chilling picture. The deeper they dug, the clearer it became that there was more to this story than the hospital wanted revealed. Sources confirmed that multiple attempts to resuscitate Menglong had been ordered to stop prematurely. Others claimed drugs were administered that contradicted standard emergency protocols. The fragments did not yet form a complete picture. They painted enough of a horror to suggest deliberate interference. What kind of doctor, sworn to save lives, would end one instead? The answer seemed buried beneath layers of silence, fear, and power. But silence could not hold forever. As the first stage of the investigation reached its peak, fans braced for answers. Journalists whispered of impending charges. Lawyers hinted at explosive revelations in court. Whistleblowers prepared to step forward. At the center of it all was the lingering, unbearable truth: Menglong could have survived. He should have survived. But something, or someone, he did not. The world waited, horrified yet transfixed, for the next chapter to unfold, knowing it would reveal just how deep the betrayal went. What began as a tragedy had become a global scandal. And that questioned not just the loyalty of an individual doctor but the integrity of an entire system. And as every day passed, one thought remained unshakable in the minds of millions: this was not the end of the story. The outrage that followed Menglong's death did not fade, it intensified. By the time the first investigative hearings began, the entire world was already convinced that something sinister had taken place in that emergency room. The initial reports of negligence had ballooned into accusations of sabotage, bribery, and cold-blooded betrayal. Investors gathered outside the hospital daily, hunting for truth and justice, while international outlets framed the scandal as a watershed moment in both celebrity culture and medical accountability. What made the case so haunting was not only the possibility that a doctor had ended a life that could have been saved, but that this doctor might not have acted alone. The conspiracy appeared wider, deeper, and more dangerous than anyone first imagined. The investigation uncovered disturbing evidence that pushed the narrative far beyond a medical misstep. Phone records, financial transfers, and testimony from hospital staff painted a chilling picture. The doctor in question received several phone calls during the exact window when Menglong's fate hung in the balance. Authorities traced those calls to unlisted numbers connected to shadowy figures in the entertainment business. Individuals long suspected of exerting behind-the-scenes control over artists' contracts and careers. Days before Menglong was rushed to the hospital, a sizable sum of money had landed in the doctor's account. The amount was too large to be dismissed as coincidence, specific to be explained away as personal finances. Was this payment a bribe, a payoff for ensuring a deadly outcome? Or was it part of a larger network of financial manipulation designed to silence one of Asia's most beloved stars? Witnesses began to crack under the weight of secrecy. Nurse admitted in a trembling voice that she was ordered to leave the room at a critical moment, leaving the doctor alone with Menglong. Her claimed that she saw the doctor preparing an injection not listed in official records. A third said she overheard a heated phone conversation moments before Menglong's condition suddenly deteriorated. Their testimonies conflicted in detail but shared one terrifying implication: the doctor's actions were not aligned with standard medical practice. The room became a stage of sorrow and suspense, each revelation greeted by gasps from those present and millions more following live streams across the globe. When a young staff member finally broke down in tears and whispered, "Could have lived," but the doctor stopped, the entire room erupted into chaos. Headlines around the world repeated that line, ending it as the single most damning piece of testimony in the unfolding scandal. The motives behind such a betrayal became the center of speculation. Analysts pointed to Menglong's rising stardom, lucrative contracts, and the power struggles within the entertainment industry. He was more than just a beloved actor, he was an empire, a brand tied to billions of dollars in potential revenue. Rumors swirled that rival agencies and hidden investors had grown frustrated with disputes over his career direction. Some claimed Menglong had considered breaking ties with his management, which could have shifted financial control away from powerful stakeholders. Others suggested that industry figures feared his growing independence, seeing him as a threat to established hierarchies. If Menglong had survived, he could have reshaped the balance of power in entertainment. If he died, same forces could benefit. This chilling logic framed his death not as misfortune, but as murder cloaked in medical legitimacy. Fans refused to remain silent as these revelations surfaced. Online movements turned into real-world demonstrations, candlelight vigils transforming into marches demanding accountability. The hashtags that began in sorrow evolved into cries for justice. Dr. Off Teeth, Killed Menglong, Truth for You. International fan clubs coordinated across continents, being a united front of voices that authorities could not ignore. Artists, directors, and colleagues began speaking publicly, with shaking voices, about the dark pressures of the industry. For the first time, insiders acknowledged the existence of shadow networks that manipulated careers, profits, and even personal safety. The image of glamour and artistry fractured, replaced by glimpses of exploitation and ruthless control. What had once been whispered behind closed doors was now shouted from rooftops, and the world was listening. This continued. The doctor's defense grew increasingly desperate. Lawyers insisted there was no proof of intentional harm. Tragic misjudgments made under pressure. They pointed to the chaotic conditions of the emergency room, the severity of Menglong's injuries, and the possibility that nothing could have saved him. Each time they spoke, another witness emerged with evidence that contradicted their claims. Forensic experts testified that certain life-saving measures were withheld without medical justification. Specialists revealed that vital signs were stronger than the hospital's official reports suggested. Each contradiction tightened the noose around the accused. The world wondering not if the doctor was guilty, whether they were guilty alone or acting as part of a larger conspiracy. The scandal rippled outward, shaking institutions far beyond the hospital walls. Petitions called for new regulations to protect patients and celebrities alike. Activists demanded greater oversight of entertainment contracts and the dangerous intersections between art, money, and power. National human rights organizations stepped in, describing the case as not just a tragedy but a violation of fundamental ethical principles. Even the medical community fractured, some defending their colleague while others denounced the betrayal as unforgivable. The scandal had grown too big, symbolic to be contained. It was no longer only about Menglong, it was about the systems that allowed such betrayal to happen, and the world's hunger to finally expose them. At the chaos, one revelation threatened to shatter everything. Investigators discovered that the doctor had not acted in isolation but under the weight of specific instructions. A leaked transcript suggested a chilling command: make sure he doesn't walk out alive. The authenticity of the document was debated, yet its very existence deepened suspicions. If true, this was not negligence. It was premeditated. It was murder disguised as medicine. And it meant that Menglong's death was not a random tragedy but a calculated act carried out by forces still hidden in the shadows. Who gave the order? Why was Menglong targeted so ruthlessly? The questions gnawed at the public, ensuring the scandal would not fade until answers were found. Menglong's fans. The grief was unbearable. His face, symbol of hope and artistry, became the emblem of injustice. Replayed his interviews, his laughter, his words about courage and resilience, now tinged with tragic irony. He could have survived, they repeated, a mantra that echoed across forums, vigils, and social networks. The betrayal they felt was not only toward their idol but toward the very idea of trust. If a doctor, sworn to save, turned into an instrument of death, what hope was left? The emotional impact extended beyond fans into the broader public, igniting conversations about safety, transparency, and the fragility of human life in systems dominated by money and power. The case is far from closed. Investigations continue, arrests loom, and whispers of even deeper conspiracies linger. Was Menglong's death orchestrated to silence him? Was it a warning to others in the industry? Or was it a web of corruption spiraling beyond control? The horrifying secret revealed that night has left the world demanding justice. But justice remains elusive, behind layers of lies and silence. What is certain is that Menglong's story will not be forgotten. His legacy now carries not only the memory of his artistry but the burden of a question that haunts millions. If he had a chance to survive, why was it stolen from him? The world waits for the next chapter. One thing is undeniable. This scandal has exposed the darkest corners of both medicine and entertainment, proving that even in places meant to heal, betrayal can thrive. Red Carpet Revealed will continue to uncover the truth. The story is far from over. Until justice is delivered, the fight will go on, fueled by grief, outrage, and the relentless demand for answers. The horrifying secret is out, but the world still hungers for the full truth. The story of Menglong's final hours has shaken the world to its core. What began as a night of hope spiraled into tragedy drenched in betrayal, suspicion, and horrifying secrets. The doctor's decision, whether born of corruption, coercion, or conspiracy, robbed the world of a life that could have been saved. Answered questions still hang heavy in the air. Who gave the order? Who profited from the silence? How many others remain at risk in the shadows of power? Until those answers come, the wound left by his death will never truly heal. The Carpet Revealed. Our mission is not only to inform but to shine a relentless light on the truths others try to bury. We thank you, our readers and watchers, for standing with us, for demanding justice, and for refusing to look away even when the truth is devastating. Your voices, your grief, your unwavering passion give strength to this pursuit. The journey does not end here. We will continue to follow every twist, every testimony, every revelation. For Menglong, for his fans, and for the countless others whose stories are silenced too soon. Promise, the fight for truth goes on. Thank you for joining us. This has been Red Carpet Revealed.